We're finally doing it. Soldiers confess their sins. Get your helmet on. This one's going to be bumpy, because let's be honest, it was more or less just a way to try and entrap some people who've committed war crimes. Let's see if we got any big fish. Obviously, we asked the soldiers in our audience to send in their war stories. They sent in a lot of them. And we had to cull a lot out because they were much more boring than we thought. But there are apparently some really good ones. Ones that I'm not sure are going to be allowed on YouTube. So, if you're watching this, I guess we got the green tick. And then on the flip side, there was obviously a bunch of stories that if I repeated them, that would absolutely get me banned from YouTube. So, we're not going to be doing that. If you'd like to read the story about a guy that may or may not have killed up to 100 US troops because he was dangerously drunk on the job, be my guest. Sift through it yourself, huh? Doesn't matter, don't worry. This is still going to be really racy. I mean, read this first one. Not in the military, but I shit myself. So, why does that have 2,300 likes?
That's been a running joke since the plumbers one.
Oh, okay. So I'm out of the loop of my own fucking series. One time, whilst on deployment in Afghanistan, I found this weird prosthetic leg on a deceased Taliban fighter. In my very poor judgment, I decided to take it back to base and used to drink beer out of it. Unfortunately, several photos were taken of me doing this, and I have since had my name dragged through the mud and I lost my honours. Very sad. I didn't realise that Ben Robert Smith was a fan of this channel. Either that or there is a man that has a very, very similar life and drinking out of legs is just a rite of passage. I'm going to go with it was seriously banned. This whole series has just been a big trick to get soldiers to admit to war crimes. Yeah, see, and we've already staged one. Gotcha, Ben. You just blew your case wide open. During an overseas operation in a country rhyming with Spafghanistan. Ah yes, Spafghanistan, home of the Spafghani hound and Spafghani rugs. A soldier who was definitely not me, was driving through the capital in convoy previously, as everyone had been banned from using pen flares to deter vehicles getting too close to our convoy because diggers were being a bit naughty with them. Different story. I mean, dude, you could have just said what the story was. They were clearly jamming it up their ass as a Mad Monday pick. I mean, if footy players have a Mad Monday, how mad do you reckon the Mondays would be of a guy whose nickname is Mad Dog? We'd throw water bottles at cars instead. You know what being in a modern army sounds to me like? It sounds like it's one of those high schools for naughty boys, but now they're like in their 30s. And instead of not being allowed to go on field trips because it's clearly a detriment to the public, they think, go out to Afghanistan, have fun there. Sorry, Spafghanistan, of course. On a side note, we would always have a couple of frozen ones to keep the others cool. See? I'm telling you, it's just, that's all my memories of primary school. All right, boys, it's going to be hot out there, so what did we learn from Year 4 AFL? Make sure you bring some oranges, and here's a tip, if you freeze your water bottle, it'll be cool when you drink it. The cold ones we would be drinking, not throwing. Yeah, cold ones for the boys. There were inevitably some accidental broken windshields for which compensation would occur, usually in the form of camels or whatever. What a funny land Spafghanistan is. Dude, if someone broke my windshield here and said, all right, let's make this fair and square. How many sheep do you want for it? None! Oh, this guy's way worse at bartering than those wily Spafghanis. One day, a couple of kids stood by the roadside to watch the convoy. Two young lads. Most kids usually just smile and wave. But on this occasion, the younger boy had his pants down and was giving the wildest helicopter he could muster. Helicopter. I haven't even thought of that move. I think I've got a new video title out coming. I gave out 100 helicopters. It was a 4 out of 10 at best, but good effort. Well, he's got time to perfect the art of giving out helicopters. Without warning, a bottle of water was thrown by my mate up in the gun hatch at great velocity and hit the young fellow square in the neck. It's so slack, but also, come on, it's just high school. High school for naughty boys, come on! Yeah! Oh, he got him in the dick! This man has 2 kids. Also, it is very nice to know that that is our version of American Sniper. Got him. As he completely crumpled onto the ground, his mate legged it down the alleyway, abandoning him. The water bottle was frozen. We almost certainly created 2 new Taliban that day. Yeah, but come on, you're creating a much more benign Taliban, aren't you? I've been preparing my whole life to run at this US embassy, strapped with water bombs! On my deployment to East Timor, Fuck, thank God, one we were reading out when we were the good guys. Jesus, that last one was getting pretty racy. My team and I would play pranks on each other. Oh, here we go. And we threw a frozen water bottle at a tribal chieftain's dick. That must have hurt even more because they wear conchas around theirs. My mate superglued our corporal's chair to the floor. In retaliation, our corporal took a shit in an ammo tin and left it in the middle of his room. Vengeance was strong that day. Ugh. Imagine a shit with military-grade food. Probably tastes better as shit. Also, my corporal planted evidence that I was trying to post ammunition back home. That was a prank. I thought I was being framed, so I cried on my birthday in East Timor. Happy birthday, soldier. You always forget there's victims in war. My brother got a care package from us in Iraq. His friends got jealous and jacked off into it. And all over it. That's a lot of ammunition. And also, imagine what military-grade food is doing to your sperm. He still ate the food we sent. Oh, okay, so that's the key to making military-grade food edible. You know what's incredible? So far, the soldier stories have so much more cock and sperm involved in them than when we were reviewing gay nightclubs. And I think they were only allowed to join the military in the 90s. They're making up for time. Day one of Army Reserve training at Kapuka, another made-up place. And we were all getting shouted at outside the barracks. One of the instructors screamed at this kid, "Do you even want to be here?" And he said, "Not really." That's so funny. Because don't you reckon, come on, in the military, most people are there because they want to be an engineer and they don't want to have the HEX debt. You know, like, there's going to be a couple of psychopaths. When do I get the gun? But other than that, most people are sitting there and just like, dude, I had a shit HSC. You don't know. Where the fuck is Kapuka? And then quit right there. On the spot. Never had more respect for a man than Aussie. That's really fucking hilarious. It's not really a dishonourable discharge, is it? Because he discharged himself. I think the last one about coming into food, that's a fucking dishonourable discharge. If you still have faith in our brave diggers, let me dispel that belief for you. Can't we just leave it as a Jebediah Springfield statue? Anthony Field, the Blue Wiggle, that's so funny that guy became a kid's entertainer. I did not know that he was in the army before that. Once served in the Australian Army, and 1 year, for the battalion's birthday, he and the rest of the Wiggles were asked to perform a concert for the battalion he served in. It started off a good note. Look, okay, dude, that is not a good indictment on the stereotype of soldiers being absolute morons, is it? Ladies and gentlemen, for the 100th anniversary of the 3rd Battalion, the Wiggles. Yeah, my favorite band. It started off as a good night with the Wiggles performing classic pub songs, but as the soldiers and Anthony got more and more shit-faced. Okay, so the performer of a children's band was getting shit-faced. It quickly devolved into a surreal experience of an entire battalion of professional soldiers that were trained to kill, screaming at the Wiggles to play Big Red Car for the 5th time that night. And you're saying that this makes me respect them less? The only one I disrespect less is you for ratting on them. A few years ago, I was deployed on a ship, US. Somebody got a care package from home. See, I do really like the fact that you guys get care packages. It reminds me of when not just soldiers, but all of society had dignity. Like, have you ever read one of those letters from guys in World War I that were 19 and they can write better than us? Even the ones that did for you English. Yeah, it's nice having this like, yeah, my mum got me underwear. Apparently their grandma passed away. Oh, okay, well I probably should have read that first. And their family thought it would be a nice gesture to send some of her ashes in said care package inside a small Ziploc bag. Well, it is a nice gesture. Don't know if the same mechanism that you transport your shitty sandwiches from lunch is the most respectful way, but it's probably saves money on packaging. So the mail going out to ships gets thrown around a lot. How does it even get on the ship? The ship's moving. I know that planes exist and whatnot. I suppose I got a GPS. Yeah, it makes sense. And many of these boxes get torn up at some point. We were doing mail collection and organising it into their respective departments when somebody found this box with the baggie of ashes and thought it was coffee creamer. Needless to say, the creamer was stolen and used, and nobody realised it until this person went around the ship and started asking if anybody had seen a baggie with his grandma's ashes. I hope the coffee tasted at least good. Well, Probably better than the stuff you're getting on an American ship, am I right? Because they have shit coffee. Honestly, I do want to taste your grandma, because I reckon I'm right. I also had a chair thrown at me, WWE style, for constantly making Shrek references. Oh my god, and that is a Shrek reference. Ah, give him the chair! But come on, dude, again, remember this. A bunch of kids that were probably in juvie, now on a ship, getting cabin fever together. You were asking for it. I definitely had it coming. Yeah, okay, alright, yeah. And it was one of the funniest experiences of my life. 10 out of 10. I will never get over it. Dude, the military sounds fun as fuck. This is to be a really serious profession. Bombardiers and corporals have the same ranks, 2 chevrons, which can get confusing for recruits when they address staff, as they have to address staff by their rank. When a bombardier is called a corporal, they lose their shit and often ask the poor hapless individual, "Do I look like a fucking corporal?" One recruit made this slight against a particularly grumpy bombardier and was asked the aforementioned question with either massive stones or autism. He replied once, "No, bombardier, you're way fatter than any corporal I've ever seen." There's really not that much to add to it, is there? It's just like, look, there is not a better comeback on earth than "you're fat." And that's it. That's all you need. You've won the argument. Like, yes, John Howard did win out a slight victory against Kim Beazley in 98, but don't you think that he would have absolutely wiped the floor with him if the ads were, "Look at this fat c***." 2009 in Cambodia. Ship pulls in and we set off to get blackout drunk. We switched from cocktails to straight spirits after the service took too long to deliver rounds. Move on to next bar. One of the boys decides to backflip off the balcony into the pool below. Only problem was the pool was empty. Damn. Officer down. He was airlifted to Bangkok for surgery to stabilize him and his broken neck. Dude, imagine telling the weeping widow that was the way you went out. I'd hate to have that guy in the Green Jackets job. Then flown back to Australia for further surgery. Man can walk and talk like nothing ever happened, swore he'd never drink again, and to his credit, he lasted a few years before he had another beer. Look, I am honestly astonished. I mean, it does make a lot of sense, but the modern military, it seems like the most casualties you get is just from being hammered. It's like your greatest enemy now is beers. I knew a guy. Let's call him Private Bar. Well, Bar got drunk with the boys in the barracks. Woke up to the sergeant screaming at him, only stopping when knocking came from the door. Sergeant demanding to know what was in there. Private Bar opened up the closet door. And there was a penguin!
Yes!
Oh my god, this is a hark back to the old... What was it called? Tales from Country Towns. If you haven't seen that series, look that up, because there is an incredible story about a mentally handicapped kid stealing a penguin from the zoo. But anyway, sorry, I digress. This is your moment of glory. Turns out Bar and his buddies nabbed the bird from the local aquarium. This is an incredible thing. The guy in that story, like the zookeeper there, was saying, this is not the first time this has happened. It's like every week. Thank God that penguins breed like chickens. Bar got bit, but otherwise no one got hurt. That's incredible. And what an incredible last sentence that is. It's like one of those shitty 80s military comedies, don't you think? Just my face. Wow. Who'd have thought being in the military would be fraught with such hilarious mishaps? Because you certainly wouldn't have got that from fucking MASH. No, I don't know. It's before my time. I was more of a Hogan's Heroes man myself. Anyway, I thought that was actually really hilarious. And you know what else I think is going to be filled with even more hilarious stories? Prisoners confess your sins. Again, you can remain anonymous. I'm sure that a lot of you that applied for stories in the soldiers ones probably did get court-martialed and were a prisoner yourself, so you can reapply in that one. So, if you have been in jail, again, no shame, but we do really want to laugh at your adventures in there, so please put your comments below.